Not negotiating behind closed doors, but bringing all parties together and broadcasting those negotiations on C-SPAN so that the American people can see what the choices are. Because part of what we have to do is enlist the American people in this process.
I would put my plan forward and I would welcome input and say, here are my goals: reduce costs, increased quality, coverage for everybody. If you have better ideas, please present them. But these negotiations will be on C-SPAN. And so the public will be part of the conversation and will see the choices that are being made.
You know, I respect what the Clintons tried to do in 1993 in moving health reform forward. But they made one really big mistake, and that is they took all their people and all their experts into a room and then they closed the door. We will work on this process publicly. It'll be on C-SPAN. It will be streaming over the net.
We'll have the negotiations televised on C-SPAN so that people can see who is making arguments on behalf of their constituents and who are making arguments on behalf of the drug companies or the insurance companies. But here's the thing. We're going to do all these negotiations on C-SPAN. So the American people will be able to watch these negotiations.
Drug and insurance companies will have a seat at the table. They just won't be able to buy every single chair. And we will have a public process for forming this plan. It'll be televised on C-SPAN. I can't guarantee it'll be exciting, so not everybody is going to be watching it.
So I'll put forward my plan, but what I'll say is, look, if you've got better ideas, I'm happy to listen to them. But all this will be done on C-SPAN, in front of the public.
And one of my jobs as the president will be to guide this process so that it's an honest process.
Now is the time to change direction in Washington. No longer can we allow special interests and lawmakers to conspire behind closed doors. We need transparency.
You know, the Democrats would just love for you to believe they are the party of change and transparency, a government you can trust to allow all to participate in the process. But that's just a disguise.
Not negotiating behind closed doors, but bringing all parties together and broadcasting those negotiations on C-SPAN so that the American people can see what the choices are. Because part of what we have to do is enlist the American people in this process.
You see, Senator Reid, President Obama's lieutenants, and other liberal Democrats are behind closed doors crafting their final health care overhaul proposal. They're hiding their government-run experiment because they don't want you to discover that the results of their proposal will increase both taxes and the cost of health care, and that government will stand between you and your doctor. It may be Halloween, but the Democrats' intentions cannot be disguised.
He doesn't believe in transparency?
Okay. Did you have another more pertinent question?
Question on health care. C-SPAN television is requesting leaders in Congress to open up the debate to their cameras, and I know this is something that the president talked about on the campaign trail. Is this something that he supports, will be pushing for?
I've not seen that letter. I know the president's going to begin some discussions later today on health care in order to try to iron out the differences that remain between the House and the Senate bill and try to get something, hopefully, to his death.
Why can't you answer the C-SPAN question?
I did.
Well, you didn't, because you said...
I said I hadn't seen the letter, which I haven't.
Why do you need to see a letter? I mean, this is something the president said during the campaign, and he talked about he wants everything open on C-SPAN.
Dan asked me about the letter, and I haven't read the letter. So
well, I'll just ask you about having it on C-SPAN.
I understand. I answered Dan's question, and I answered this before we left for the break. Keith, the president, number one priority is getting the differences worked out, getting a bill to the House and the Senate. We've filled your newspaper and many others with the back and forth and the details of what's in these bills. I don't want to keep that from continuing to happen. I don't think there's anybody that would say that we haven't had a thorough, robust, now spanning 2 calendar years debate on health care. Juliana?
There are a lot of reasons not to do it on C-SPAN. People could showboat. Does he regret making that statement during the campaign?
No. Wrote a letter, Mr. Lamb.
for you guys to have this process be transparent in regards to the conference committee. Right now it's being done with ping pong. Any response on that?
Well, no decision has...
To be out in public, President Obama was in favor of that on the campaign?
Really? Well, there are a number of things he was throwing on the campaign trail.